All right. Hello and welcome back for episode 2 of the Supreme Golf Solutions webinar series. My name's Chris May, and I have with me here again Al Weinhold. Thanks for joining me, Al. We're going to continue to cover products, metrics, best practices that'll help you uncover hidden opportunities and maximize revenue at your course or club. As you may remember, in our first episode, we covered Supreme's partnership as technology provider on the PGA's new Tee Time booking engine called PGA Tee Times. And we touched on some of how those innovations are going on there are going to help you get started down the role of customer data collection. So if you haven't checked out that video yet, please go visit our YouTube channel, go view it. And so you're in the loop on future releases. We're going to do these about once every other week or so. Please hit that subscribe button and below, and you'll be the first person to know when we do release that new content. So again, as I mentioned in today's episode, we are going to cover a little more in depth some data collection and best practices on what to do with that data once you get it. So let's get over some business quickly, and then we'll dive into the content. Al, so what can Supreme Golf help the operator with from a day-to-day perspective? What products and insight can Supreme offer to make those business decisions easier for the operator?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Hey, our goal is really to provide courses with data and insight into club's performance that can quickly be reviewed and acted upon. We organize your tee sheet and retail data with a few proprietary reports that we've developed through our experience with hundreds of golf courses over the years, and found that really gets to the heart of performance. Not to say we've pulled the right switch every time over the years, but these metrics have definitely helped us pull the right switch, or at least find that switch a little more quickly. So, we really focus on four key areas. One is the distribution, obviously increasing the visibility of your tee sheets out into the digital marketplace while keeping your acquisition cost to a minimum. Our products include the Supreme Golf Marketplace, PGA Tee Times, Golf Book, Barstool Sports, and Golf Digest, just to really name a few. Next really is retail. Our retail reporting allows you to track all sales by category and vendor, track all your sales and cost of good target margins. Our monthly reporting shows you your trailing 12-month data for all sales and allows you to track and modify your turn expectation. You get to see your on-hand inventory for each category and vendor, create part levels for each category, and vendor by minimum and maximum inventory levels.
Exactly.
You're going to participate in our buying program and get MCO pricing on goods with practically no effort required on your end. Next is really revenue management, which is kind of really the data junkies that we've talked about before. We provide the insight to help you nail your pricing and your frequency programs. Our dynamic pricing and subscription management tools are really second to none, and our reporting breaks down all your key customer groups with easy to follow KPIs. And really last is subscription. Our subscription model provides you the ability to implement a cutting edge revenue program, builds loyalty, and brings evergreen recurring revenue to the club while helping you fill those hard to fill tee times on your tee sheet. So, Chris, flipping it back to you, let's get back to data. As we discussed last week, can you quickly review why it is so important for golf courses to get data from their third-party providers, or really even collect data at all?
Yeah, a lot of the first webinar was about this funnel, so you want to go back and review that content. But quickly to review here for our discussion today, uh, when you use any aggregator, it doesn't happen to be PGA Tee Times, or it could be anybody in that third-party space. You really want the opportunity to market to those consumers directly in the future, which is especially important if you're on a commission model, or you're using those third parties as a lead generator for your own annual programs, your own direct booking engines. Right? If you're successful with that customer that you've gotten from a third party or an aggregator, and you convert them to local products over time, you'll find that you'll have a very low customer cost of acquisition. That cost of acquisition of customer is very much lower than what you might be doing through your own SEO efforts, your own PPC efforts. We talked about what it actually costs to generate solid SEO, and it's very expensive. You can't do much but protect your own organic search terms. So using those aggregators, sort of as we called it, Match.com model, let us bring those singles in, pass them off to you, and then you do the great job of converting them to your direct booking engines in the future. So you're not paying that commission every time that person books. Also, the data allows you to build the customer profiles, understand the annual and lifetime spend, and develop course-specific products accordingly. We're going to dive into a lot of how to build those profiles, how to use them today, and then how to price those products and look at those products from an annual spend or spend per visit perspective later on in the series. And then finally, it allows the managers and the staff on hand to focus on service and long-term retention, while you use folks like us to refill your funnel, right? We're replacing those folks you're losing to age and industry, injury, geography, service failure, those sorts of things. We're helping to fill that funnel on top, so you can focus on delivering that expectation of value and experience that a customer will want to buy into long term.
So let's say I'm an operator who's new to the idea of digital marketing. Where do I start with customer data? What should be my focus on?
Well, to be honest, this shouldn't be new to every operator out there, right? Asking for data from customers, it should have always been a best practice, even back to paper T-sheets where you're getting names and things like that. Especially from now that you have indirect channels, things like that, it's so important to get that data from the customer. Now, PGA Tee Times specifically, some of that data will roll into your T-sheet over time, especially the email and the names and things like that. There aren't any extra steps required of your staff or any extra effort to get that information into your T-sheet. It's just coming through the API. Otherwise, other channels, those sorts of things, you're dependent on your shop staff that's already busy with other stuff to create these profiles, to record the information. It can be overwhelming on a weekend morning when you've got a line out the door and you're trying to get a foursome out every 8 minutes. By getting it automatically, you're helping your staff to succeed in growing your customer lists and taking a thing off their plate that really technology should take care of for them. Now, if you are brand new to data collection, and you shouldn't be ashamed if you are, you want to, if you're starting from scratch, so to speak, you want to establish what fields take priority with your staff and fill them in first. For us, it may not be readily apparent, but name, email, and zip. Name, email, phone, zip are kind of the four that we look for. Name, phone, zip being the first ones, and then getting email later. Email can be, that's just because email can be tough, right? Especially if the counter is busy, because it's there's spelling and that piece takes just as long as a first name, last name, and zip code combined, which is why it's great that PGA provides it. But you want to aim to complete that customer profile over several visits, since the customer will have limited patience. They're excited to play. They want to go warm up. You've got about 30 or 40 seconds, honestly, to talk to them. Get one piece now, get them back, get another piece later, build that profile over time. Another best practice is to make it fun or make it rewarding. We found that incenting your teammates to collect, or incenting guests to even provide it with creative programs like shot contests, or you can offer a bottle of water for a customer to fill out a card and give it back to you. I mean, the waters cost about 18 or 20 cents, and the contact information is much more valuable than that over the long term. We've known some courses even to incent their teammates with $1 per email collected on a given day to boost that list and really get those profiles going. All fun things, even shop contests. Send a guy to a nice private club for a round if you've got those connections. All of those things are valuable to the teammates and rewarding for them. And then periodically, you want to go through your database and make sure that you don't have multiple profiles in there per customer. Say John Smith is in there 7, 8, 10 times. That's not useful either. Most T-sheets have a feature, or the representative that you work with for technology on the T-sheet can help you call that down and combine those profiles so that each guest only has one profile. And we'll talk a little bit later in the next slide about why that's important, but you really want to make sure that your database is clean and has one record for every guest. So Al, once I'm down this road a bit and I start to get some more information in my T-sheets, really, what do I do with it? When do I know that I'm doing a good job in the collection effort?
Well, typically anything's better than, nothing. To get started is probably the most important thing. Start using those profiles. You kind of we touched on it a little bit above, but it's really focusing on getting rid of Jones, or the dreaded guest, and making sure that you're using the profiles. By checking in each customer with a profile, we can now start to create a purchase history for each golfer. Understanding spend in the long term allows you to create attractive programs for your customers going forward. We believe that program pricing should not be done by a competitive market review, but by really understanding and increasing the spend metrics in your customer data over the year over year.
Exactly.
Couple, yeah, we always talk about this too. Names and emails are a customer list, but they're really not a database. So going forward, base strategies on frequency and optimizing the cheat sheet, they may include, direct booking sources with less aggressive or no dynamic pricing, subscription, annual passes, loyalty programs, when appropriately constructed. We know these can kind of be done kind of willy-nilly, and we'll cover constructing these in more detail and what metrics to use on a later episode. I saw in that last one, is what is a good collection rate? It's more than yesterday. But
Exactly.
we like to shoot for 75% or more of the rounds being attached to user profile. We obviously know that sometimes tournaments and other pricing groups can make that a little difficult. So 75 is a pretty good number. And one thing I always kind of add at the end is that once you start doing the profile names and you get used to it over a 2 or 3 month period, now you've got enough of these people that when your golfers check in, you've already got a high percentage of them anyway. So once you get to that 75 mark, it's pretty easy to stay there, because that means that you're actually using the profiles. And that's, again, when we, showing that example of that quintile report, really understanding that customer spend is really critically important.
Yeah, that's a good point. During COVID here, I think everyone is familiar with sort of the demise of group and tournament play in
Yeah.
regards to a customer, an overall mix at a property. I found that in working with the courses I do, that the clubs that got through that 75% mark and had a big group business, say there's some courses in San Diego who have 15, 20% of their rounds are group play, but they've still collected upwards of 95% of profiles on everybody, even the tournament guests. They've done a much better job of tracking the customer that is channel flipped from a group play to an individual play perspective. Those tournament guys are still playing somewhere. They're mostly playing on the weekends, and they've been able to track their play outside tournament, which is pretty cool.
Wow. So with an understanding of who my customers are, where they live, and what channels they're buying on, where do I go next?
Yeah, that's the great piece of using these profiles to check in golfers and understanding their yearly spend and their spend per visit. And even some of the new tee sheet providers out there are sophisticated enough to have POS systems that track merchandise and F&B spend too. So you really know a true SPV, a true spend per visit, beyond green fee, cart fee, and what might be in your tee sheet. But it gives you a new frame of reference to understand how your revenue is coming in. And that frame of reference is this idea of the quintile report, or the annual spend per year per customer, right? So you can think about maximizing your tee sheet through rounds and rate like you have before. Or now that you have this complete data, you can think about maximizing or increasing every customer's spend per visit. And that kind of creates a little bit of a different wrinkle. And so now you can start thinking about some other new products or some of your old products in a different light, right? So as you talk about that mix and that example I used from tournament play to weekend play and some of the channel flipping that's going on during COVID, you start thinking about really what does make up your ideal customer. When do they play? What rates and channels do they use? Are they coming through third party, or are they coming direct? Are they booking through a group or a league? Are they an annual member? Are your pass holders a good customer, or are they a bad customer? What rates and channels do they use? What websites are working the best for you? What if you're using wholesalers to fill in some holes, or some of those coupon organizations that are out there? which ones are the best, which ones provide the best ROI on the commission that they're charging. How do their play patterns fit in the rates that they use? For instance, are your annual members taking up too much of your peak play where you might be getting a premium rack rate in the morning? Are you charging enough for that annual program? Does the annual program even make sense, or should you move to a subscription model where you're more easily able to liquidate inventory or react to changing demands from your retail customers? You want to look at how you acquired that customer, what did you spend for that customer, and how long have they been your customer? You can now tell really how many rounds a year they're playing, how long they've been in your database, how long they've been a subscription member or an annual member, things like that. Answering those questions for yourself helps you to change your customer mix in a way that is more efficient and creates a higher RevPAR, revenue per available round, a metric that we like to look at to grade performance on a monthly or yearly basis that we'll get into in a subsequent episode. But those are the things that you can do with great profiles and great data collection. And not to be ashamed, if you're not there, make a plan to get there. Start from the basics we covered earlier. Again, incent the staff, make it fun, take one step at a time, one field at a time. Really walk your customers through the process. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So get that data as you can, and follow up. Follow up with your staff members that are doing a great job. Follow up with the staff members that aren't doing such a good job. Track what gets tracked gets done is a favorite phrase of the industry, and it really makes a difference here to follow up on a daily basis and really look through the T-sheet and figure out who needs data in their profiles. So Al, if I want to dig into this more as an operator, I need some help to get started. Where can I learn more about the Supreme Golf Solutions products that can help with this and get started with a partnership with us?
Well, I mean, obviously the first best place to go is supremegolfsolutions.com. And our contact information is up there. We can be reached anytime. And like we've said, we're readily available. Just email us or call us, and we will be more than happy to help.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely take this down, or as we said, subscribe to the webinar. This will always be up for you to come back and take a look at. And perfect. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of the webinar today. Please join us next time when Dan Cortez will be here to discuss all things retail. It's a fascinating conversation. Dan's been in the retail space for dozens of years with major operators, and honestly has forgotten more about retail than most of us know. So he'll be discussing opportunities to perhaps reduce your cost of goods sold, key metrics he's used over the years in running retail operations, understanding stock plans and open to buy metrics, things like that. And it's really timely now that we're reaching spring and the clubs are out there figuring out buy programs for the year and what their stock plan should be. So that'll be valuable information for everybody out there. So again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Be the first to know when that next video hits. And for Al and myself, thanks again, and bye for now.